WGMC Greece Rochester. A public service of the Greece Central School District, Jazz 90.1.
On Instagram at WGMC Jazz 901.
Police in Rome say two 19-year-old American tourists have confessed to killing a police officer. The officer was stabbed 8 times yesterday morning. Correspondent Barbie Nadeau is in the Italian capital this morning.
These two young men tried to buy cocaine. When they found out the cocaine they bought was actually powdered aspirin or crushed aspirin, they got angry and tried to get back to the pusher, stole the backpack. Somehow the police got involved. A scuffle broke out, and the boys are accused of killing this police officer, 35-year-old man who had just returned from his honeymoon, just back on the force, stabbed him dead. They'd escaped then to their hotel room, and police found them there with, they say, the knife, bloody clothes, and plans to go back to the United States.
Protesters in Hong Kong are organizing against mainland China for the 8th consecutive weekend. Police fired tear gas and swung batons at the protesters today for defying warnings not to march. I'm Christopher Cruz.
Here's another I Love New York travel tip.
Just 90 miles from New York City, the Catskills region is renowned for its hospitality, along with its healthy and affordable outdoor recreation. Now you and your family can see and experience this spectacular region like never before. New to the Catskills is Hike With Us, a series of weekly guided hikes perfect for first-time hikers and families. For experienced hikers, the Catskills Fire Tower Challenge features self-guided hikes to each of the region's 5 fire towers. Hikers completing the challenge receive commemorative pins and will be entered into a contest for a prize. For more information on Hike With Us, the Catskills Fire Tower Challenge, and other great Catskills travel opportunities, visit the I Love New York website at iloveny.com. Seeing the Catskills like never before. Find what you love in New York State.
I fish. I clean local waterways so others can fish and swim. I provide fishing and water safety education to kids. And I maintain a healthy fish population so tomorrow's anglers can enjoy a catch. All because I buy a fishing license. When you buy a fishing license, you do a lot. In fact, every dollar from a license purchase protects and maintains your local waterways for future generations to enjoy. Learn more at takemefishing.org.
Contributions over the years made through our pledge drives have brought great programming to our listeners. Creating a legacy gift to benefit Jazz 90.1 builds a bridge from one generation of public radio listeners to the next. Please remember Jazz 90.1 in your will, trust, or general estate plans, and join our Jazz 90.1 Legacy Society. You can also find out more by visiting www.jazz901.org.
Hi, my name is Jeff Harris. Join me every Sunday, 5 to 7 p.m. for Big Road Blues. Big Road Blues is an exploration of vintage blues from the 1920s on up. Each week we examine different themes and aspects of the blues, playing both classic and forgotten blues greats from the past. That's Big Road Blues every Sunday from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
Jazz 90.1 invites you to our annual Jazz on the Lawn Summer Concert Series. Enjoy a free outdoor jazz concert Thursday, August 15th, featuring the 78 RPM Band. This concert will be held on the grounds of Greece Olympia School, 1139 Maiden Lane in Greece, beginning at 6:30. Snacks and beverages will be available for purchase during the concert. Bring chairs or a blanket and invite all of your family and friends to enjoy this great free outdoor jazz performance. No alcoholic beverages or tobacco use is permitted on school grounds. Concerts will be moved indoors in the event of rain. For more information, visit jazz901.org. We'll see you there. Here's your invitation to join Jazz 90.1 and save. With the Jazz 90.1 member card, you get 2 meals for the price of one at restaurants locally and across the nation. Dine at dozens of local restaurants and save money, all while supporting Jazz 90.1. Just use your member card a few times and you'll easily recoup the cost of your membership. Ready to become a member of Jazz 90.1? Call 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299 today and become a member of Jazz 90.1.
Member-supported Jazz 90.1 proudly welcomes you to America's longest-running computer show, Sound Bytes. Call the show now at 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll-free 800-790-0415 or soundbytes.org. Now, alongside Steve Ray and Dave Enright, here's Nick Francesco on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all the chips in the PC. It is Saturday, the 27th day of July, Anno Domini 2019, and you lucky people, you're listening to Sound Bites. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright. I'm George Engel.
And at 6 minutes after the hour, we're going to be bringing you news, views, things to choose, nothing to lose. Kick off your shoes. Don't get the blues. Here comes the news. And you may have heard, we are very lucky. We have Mr. George Engel with us today. George has done just about everything there is to do, but he's a very knowledgeable Mac human being. Steve, of course, one step ahead of the law somewhere in the Southwest. Again. Well, you know, he's a charter member of the Hole in the Head gang. Hole in the Wall gang. Oh! Sorry. Hole in the Wall. He's listening and shaking his fist right now at the radio.
No, he's going to be calling in.
Yeah, he'll be calling in. All right, let's start with the news. You can give us a call, of course, 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll free, 1-800-790-0415. Outages may be a fact of life on the internet, but the past few days have been especially rough for some of us. Last Tuesday, Google Calendar went down for hours. Later in the week, Netflix, Hulu, and Xbox Live had problems. And on this past Monday morning, users in the Northeast United States were hit by a widespread web outage that affected Verizon users and thousands of websites, hundreds of thousands of websites serviced by Cloudflare, a little-known backbone of the internet that provides security and performance services to 16 million websites. The outage was an abrupt reminder that the internet is a fragile place where one little error, in this case by a small company in Pennsylvania, can cause entire swaths of the web to break down with little warning. In Monday's case, it was because the internet's map got broken. The internet uses something called BGP, or Border Gateway Protocol, which is basically a routing map, or as you might want to think of it, the U.S. Postal Service of the web. It takes the internet traffic and data and picks the most efficient route to get that traffic to somewhere else on the internet. That works great most of the time, but Monday, a mistaken signal sent out by DQE Communications, a small commercial internet service provider that services about 2,000 buildings in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's it, 2,000 buildings. That's the entire company. This little company changed made a mistake. It was an error on their border gateway protocol, and said these 2,400 networks, including Cloudflare, Amazon, Google, and Facebook, are ours, and you can send us all their traffic.
Somebody's redoing a resume, right?
Hey, you ain't kidding. That misconfiguration was probably the result of automatic routing optimizing software and not someone intentionally screwing up the routes, but the effect was the same. Once that new route was announced and the company mistakenly said it could take on all of that traffic, it spread all the way up to Verizon, which apparently accepted the faulty routes and then passed them on. As a result, a massive swath of the internet's traffic went off a cliff to nowhere. It's like getting on Apple Maps and suddenly finding yourself at the bottom of a ravine. The problem only lasted a few hours, but this is evidence of a wider problem. Major internet service providers not having the safeguards in place to block and filter incorrect routes from propagating across the internet. It's pretty much a miracle that this kind of thing doesn't happen more often. Cloudflare's CEO blasted Verizon on Twitter over the issue. Verizon itself has been pretty quiet about the specifics of what happened. So were you affected? Oh, and by the way, you can talk about this if you want on our forum. If you at soundbytes.org, that's Bytes with a Y. Francis would like us to remind you, if you scroll down on the right under fascinating stuff, you'll find the forums. This time it's in the first forum down, which is the show discussion. And the current one is 27 July 19. The internet is down. The internet is down. So far there are two posts right now, and you can put your comments there. You can, of course, also give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll free 1-800-790-0415. You know, I got caught by that. I was actually working with a startup company that asked me to do some tech work for them. Mm-hmm. And I was testing stuff, and all of a sudden everything was dead. And I thought, uh-oh, I really screwed up. So I logged on to another system I have, which I was able to log into, so I still didn't know there was a problem. Couldn't get to it from there, and I thought, I'm really kind of screwed here. And so I went to Google to see, what my next option might be. I couldn't get to Google. And then I couldn't get to Amazon, and I couldn't get to Facebook, and I couldn't get to about a half a dozen places I tried. And so I again got on the other system that I could, which is not in my house. I mean, it's way out there. And I couldn't get to those places from there either. So I tried another system, and I could get the stuff from there, but that one's in Utah. So I thought, beyond the reach of this error. So by the time I figured it out, reports were starting to trickle in. But of course, all the places that were reporting it couldn't get anywhere to report it. So it
because it's down. Can't report a problem when you can't get there.
But man, when you're setting up systems, remote systems, and suddenly you can't get to them, and you think, "What did I do? And how do I fix this?" Mm-hmm. But it wasn't me, and it wasn't.
The beads of sweat start.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Coming on that shiny forehead.
You are not kidding. That's right. It's not a forehead. I've told you this before. It's this amuses Dave. I keep telling him it's not a bald spot. It's a solar panel for a sex machine.
An incredible sex machine.
Thank you. Thank you. Here's a man who knows which side his bread is buttered on.
Only because I have less hair than you.
Yeah, you do. George, it's finally good. George is the old guy in the group. George is the old guy in the group. He's much older, much older than everybody but Dave. He's a little older than Dave.
Yeah.
Not much.
Not much.
I remember when I used to work for a living. I'm looking at you guys, you're working for a living, and I'm an old retired guy now.
Not me. I'm retired. I retired years ago, and I should have done it 40 years ago.
Yeah, the hardest thing for me is getting up in the morning,
The only reason I get out of bed is because I like eating breakfast with my wife, and that's and she's an early riser. She, as I tell people, she beats me up every morning. She's up at like 6:30.
Oh, when you said she beats you up every morning, I was kind of
no.
I didn't know how that was going.
Yeah, she gets up super early every morning, and I'm just the only reason I get up is so I can have breakfast with her before she goes to work.
Yeah, with us, it's just the opposite. I start reading a book. Next thing I know, I have to finish the book, and it's 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Well, I do that too. I don't go to bed till 3 a.m. and I get up about 7. I get about 4.5 hours of sleep every night.
Really?
That's all I've ever gotten.
Yeah. If you get more sleep, your hair grows, though.
See, that's why I do not. You know, we don't. I don't. Who needs it? I'm perfect as I am. I said that to somebody the other day. They asked me if I had any tattoos. I said, "Look at me, I'm perfect. Why gild this lily?" And they really had no answer for that.
I like that. I got to use that.
Use it. It's
you
yours.
don't mind if I write that down?
No, it's all yours.
Okay.
Knock yourself out. But yeah, so at any rate, the internet has an issue, and that is it was designed in the 60s. Look, most of that stuff came out of Berkeley. Only, two things ever came out of Berkeley: the internet and LSD. That's not a coincidence. The fact is that it was not designed with security in mind. Right. It was designed to be hippy-dippy, wide open. Yeah. Everybody can do everything. That was the point of the internet. And while we now have all the riffraff on the internet, I've told this story before. We had a meeting at one point when it was just DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, before they dropped the defense part. It was DARPA and a couple of universities who were on the internet, and that was it.
Yeah.
And we had a meeting as to whether or not we would open up the internet to the riffraff.
Yep.
And it was a kind of close vote. It really was. In fact, one guy brought a T-shirt, and I wish I still had it. He said, "The internet is full. Go away," and handed them out to everybody.
Yeah, I remember in the old days. Remember Wozniak? When Wozniak, he was he a brilliant man, but he had a terrific sense of humor. I mean, and rather ribald humor at times. And in the old days, he had a little thing on what passed for the internet then, and he had a section on there just for people like him that, and you send your jokes and things like
nice.
that. And it was it got kind of wild. And I remember back in those days when they had...
Bless you, my son. Thank you.
Yeah, when they had the image writer, printer with the Apple II. You remember that? And the image writer was made by Saito at the time, the Japanese company, but Apple's logo was on it.
Sure.
And when that came out, there was very limited what you can do. It was a printer. And ThunderScan...
I loved
you
the
remember
ThunderScan. I loved
when
the
ThunderScan came out.
What a brilliant idea.
What you did, you took out the print head and the ribbon and you put in the ThunderScan, and it became a high-res
scanner. Yeah.
And a scanner in those days was $2,000, and here it is for $200. You now had a scanner. Well, the big thing was, with that printer, now that became the beginning of porn in those days.
Yes.
People would put in, Playboy or whatever, and they get it, and all of a sudden you digitized your picture, and that was the beginning in those days. Now you had a high-res digital image, and all of a sudden Wozniak's site became even more wanted. So that was the early days, but that was fun. But
one time at RIT, I set up a printer for a group of people. It was a laser writer. It was a color laser printer.
Okay.
I mean, it couldn't have been a laser writer, but it was a color laser printer, and they wanted it called AAAAA, so it would show up first on their list.
Yeah, right.
I said, this is a very bad idea.
Yeah.
Because this list is school-wide.
Yeah.
It will be first on everybody's list. And they said, well, no, that doesn't matter. Nobody else will print to it. Okay. The next day, and it had a giant hopper of paper. It had like 5 reams of paper in. They came in the next morning, and it printed 5 reams of high-resolution, full-color pornography.
And that toner was expensive.
That was expensive toner. And they used up the toner. And the guy said, what happened? I said, what happened is exactly what I told you would happen. Somebody wanted to print, didn't pay attention to what printer they were going to. They just picked the first one on the list. And boom, it all printed here. They can't get at it because you're in an entirely other building behind locked doors. But now you've wasted all your toner. You've wasted all your paper. So then that day that we renamed it ZZZZ. I said, okay.
They were like, what, $500 or $600 a cartridge?
Oh, yeah.
There's 3 cartridges, and then a fourth was black. So
yep.
$2,000 overnight. That's a big hit.
That's exactly right. That is exactly correct.
Yeah.
And people were livid. They were quite angry. And you know what? Oh, well, I told you.
That's all you can do. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We've both been there.
Yeah. So, the internet was originally designed, of course, to be absolutely wide open. And it still in many ways is, which is great for a whole lot of things, but bad for things like the Border Gateway Protocol, which should have some sort of block on it that says only these authorized places can send us BGP changes, and we will only accept them from these places, and we will only pass them on to these other places, so that there's some sort of control. So the DQE or whatever the name of the place was, God love them. I'm sure they're a wonderful little company. They got a total of 2,000 buildings, a nice little business, but they somehow said, we own Google and Amazon and to 100,000 Cloudflare sites. So send us all their traffic. And of course, everything didn't break down, but backed up.
Yeah.
You know, the
Big
stuff was in
bottleneck.
the queue, but it was taking an hour to get through because they've got a tiny little router system. Right. Tiny little bottleneck there. So, yeah, it was an interesting few hours. They eventually did fix it. I'm sure somebody at PDQ had their wrist slapped at least, DQE rather, and I'm sure somebody at Verizon. I blame Verizon more than I blame that little guy, because yes, the little guy did it wrong, but somebody at Verizon should have noticed that suddenly Google's traffic was going to a little place in Pennsylvania.
Have a plan. Have a plan.
Somebody wasn't watching.
Right. And the whole idea is that's what Verizon does. They're a data moving center. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. They're one of the internet backbones. Mm-hmm. They've got a data center, and they should be watching their traffic all the time. They've got big, giant screens that show them where traffic's going, and yada, yada, yada. And the minute that started to back up...
That should have flashed and thrown up some type of warning right off the bat. You know, a light go off or something.
When traffic to Google backs up, that should start somebody thinking. And then when it also happens to Amazon, and it happens to Cloudflare, and it happens to...
I can't imagine, unless...
Somebody was sleeping.
Yeah.
Or they weren't paying attention. You know, it's just...
It's 8 o'clock in the morning. They went in, they go get coffee, they flirt with the girl in the next cubicle, and they come back and not paying attention.
Or if they were even anybody in that room, there could have been nothing happening, you know, and go off and do some type of board meeting or whatever, or maybe it's not maintained as much as we think.
Right.
You know,
maybe.
Somebody not always sitting there watching, you know, it's like watching paint dry.
Look, I spent 20 years as a systems administrator, and I do know that you can't stare at screens all day long. I get that. But I automated stuff, so I had...
Why not have come warnings to your computer
point.
Or to other people should have been notified? Hey, it's just like, well, heck, you can go all the way back to days when the UPSs you could set up, and this is over 20 years ago, folks, you could set a UPS up that if all of a sudden you weren't home and your system's going down, this UPS would send you a warning, whether it's an email or a call on your phone, notifying you that the system is going down.
Right, and it would shut it down
It's not
correctly.
new technology.
No, and I had stuff that was set up for that without an issue. When something happened, I immediately got a message on my phone, a text message that there was an issue, and it worked great for years. And so I didn't have to be sitting in front of the screen because I had 2 redundant systems checking things all the time. And I would rather get 2 messages then no messages.
Yeah.
And so yes,
CYA.
It's right. It's easy to do. It's easy to make happen. People just need to understand that it is doable, and to make it happen. I do that now with my machines at home, and it's just my machine at home. I mean, so what? I'm retired now. So what? Mm-hmm. If my machine goes down, I've got other machines. I can be back up and running. It's not like I've got anything mission critical going on, but I still do it anyway because it's just ingrained into me from decades of doing it for a living. Mm-hmm. And you've got it. It's the same thing that we're always talking about backups. You need 3 backups. You need a local backup. You need by local I mean on the same computer. So if something happens to one file, you can get it back immediately. You need a near backup, which is on your network but not on your computer. So if your computer goes down, you've still got the data. You can get at them locally very easily. And you need an off-site backup. So if, God forbid, something happens to your entire home, like you lose power or whatever, your data are still good. And they're still out there and they're still fine. That was also ingrained in me. And I've got multiple off-site backups, by the way. And so you've got to be aware these days that you are your own system administrator.
Yep.
Nobody else is doing it for you. When you're in business, you know, if George and I were in the same company, George could come to me and say, not that George would have to, but George could come to me and say, hey, I need these data restored or whatever, knowing that I'm doing my job, backing it all up every night, making sure it's available so that he can get at it. Well, George isn't working for a company that I work for, since neither of us works anymore. So he's got to be his own system administrator. And that's simply the reality we live with nowadays. And you know, we get people all the time who are saying, well, my kids were playing on my machine and did something and it's all screwed up. Okay, well, we can fix that for you, but it'll take a while. Well, I need it back right away because that's also my business machine. No, it isn't. No, I'm sorry, it isn't. If it's also your home machine, then it's not really your business machine. It might be your hobby business, but it's not your real business machine because a real business has separate machines that the kids don't get on.
Well, I had a woman come in 3 different times because it got infected. And finally, the 3rd time, she goes, why is this always happening? I says, because I've told you before, you want to let these kids play. Well, they got to do their stuff in that. I said, yeah, and they're also going to other sites and getting this machine. It might be cheaper for you just to get another computer.
Yep.
And
Particularly when you get a Chromebook for a couple of $100 or an iPad for a few $100 or whatever it is, you don't need to spend, you know, the $2,000 you spend on your work machine for a home machine.
$249 you can get an iPad.
That's exactly right.
When you talk about the hard drive, I'll give you an example. About 3 weeks ago, I was doing a software review for an article on DriveX. So I ran this software, and I said, this is great software. And it really is great software. It gives you little indicators, color indicators when things are not right. And I said, well, this is good. So I have a little box, and I take out a bare drive. Sure. I use bare drives. And I put the bare drive in, and the bare drive is it's a bootable copy of my main iMac drive. Put it in, I ran DriveX on it, and all of a sudden I had problems. I go, oh, wait a minute. This is George. No, this is my system. It has to be wrong. I ran it twice, and I had problems with the drive. I said, oh, man. So this was my main internal drive. And then I have a separate drive, external, just for my data, all my data stuff, photos and things like that. That's a separate drive. And all of these drives, I had triple redundancy.
Good.
So I ran my data drive, and that was going bad. The first thing I did, these are like 2 terabyte Seagates. First thing I took, those 2 drives, ran down to Best Buy, got 2 quick drives, went home, replaced them right away, and then I just deep sexed them. But yeah, I had no idea. But these drives were like 5 years old.
Well, and that's
the
average.
All the time.
Well, even so, that's the average life of a drive.
Yeah, it is.
Which
4
means,
to 5 years, it's going.
Well, right, which means some last 10 years and some die right out of the box. So when they hit that 5-year mark.
Yeah, whether it's going bad or not, just replace it.
Replace it.
For $60, $70. How can you go wrong?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, right.
That's exactly right. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, George Engel, me, Nick Francesco, and you. It's 29 minutes after the hour. It's Soundbites. It's member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Computer talk you can understand. More Soundbites is next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Ready to become a member of Jazz 90.1? It's easy to do, and it feels so good. Just call 966-5299. That's 966-JAZZ. Or pledge securely online at jazz901.org. And remember to check if you work for a company that matches donations. This could double or even triple your pledge. Anytime is a good time to become a member of Jazz 90.1.
Hello, this is evening host Mike Velasquez. Please join me every Monday night for Jazz Horizons at our new time, 8 p.m. to midnight, here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
That is the call of a ring-tailed lemur resonating through the wildlands of Madagascar. And that's a male koala bellowing in the eucalypt forest of Australia. These animals speak different languages, but they both have the same story to tell. Their species are in trouble, their habitats are being damaged, and they need your help. Join the San Diego Zoo Global Wildlife Conservancy at endextinction.org and fight to preserve and conserve the homes of these endangered species.
The success of any business depends on its ability to offer value, a great quality product or service for the right price. Businesses themselves need to get value for the things they need as well. As an underwriter of Jazz 90.1, you can get the word out about your business, what you do, where you are, and how to reach you. Underwriting messages are straightforward, simple, and easy to remember. Underwriting at Jazz 90.1 is a great way to promote your business while supporting public jazz radio. For more information, call the Jazz 90.1 business office at 966-2660 today.
Official WGMC contest rules are available online at www.jazz901.org.
Jazz 90.1 Swing and Blues Radio on the net hosts a show called At the Crossroads, an hour of the very best in blues. I'm your host, Brad Zwicker, and the program airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, live streaming at jazz901.org. With classic cuts, 2-song spotlights on new releases, and lots of great music, ATC is all about the blues and nothing but. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time at the Crossroads, live streaming at Swing and Blues Radio at jazz901.org.
Can Happy Meals help us lose weight? This is Sandra Tsinglow with the Lowdown on Science. We Americans love supersized fast food, even though that's not particularly healthy. Can we curb this habit? University of Arizona psychologist Martin Ryman thinks maybe so. He researched serving incentives along with food. Think of Happy Meals. After all, what kid can turn down toys? Ryman wondered if that concept could be tweaked to motivate people to eat less. To find out, his team offered 6th graders 2 lunchtime options. Option 1, a half sandwich and inexpensive earbuds. Option 2, a full sandwich but no earbuds. almost 80% chose earbuds and hence less food. For adults, Ryman offered either a full lunch or a half lunch plus a chance in a drawing. Prizes were either frequent flyer miles or a modest gift card. Result, most adults chose the half lunch and drawing. What's more, a modestly valued prize was incentive enough. Ryman says it's economically feasible for restaurants to try this. So go for it. Just make the prize Star Wars action figures. Otherwise, think McDonald's Unhappy Meal.
The Lowdown on Science is produced by LDOS Media Lab in partnership with the University of California Irvine Science Communication and 89.3 KPCC, and made possible with the generous support of the Fuse Family Foundation.
Here's the latest Jazz 90.1 weather forecast.
Building heat and humidity the story across Rochester, Western New York, and the Finger Lakes going into early next week. It's getting a little dry. Outside of a rogue shower here later this afternoon, we'll just find a fair amount of sunshine mixed with some puffy fair weather clouds for your Saturday. The high temperature in the middle 80s, just a little bit cooler by the water's edge of Lake Ontario. Mainly clear to partly starlit tonight. The overnight low in the upper 60s to near 70, a touch more muggy. More humid on Sunday with hazy sunshine, highs again in the middle and upper 80s. I'm meteorologist Josh Nichols for Jazz 90.1.
And currently, right now, we've got a few clouds outside, 84 degrees out at the airport, and a balmy 88 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Everybody get up. Hi, this is Ray Seraphin. Join me Saturday mornings for the Polka Bandstand Show from 10 a.m. till 12 noon on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Great polka music. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And George Engel.
And at 36 minutes after the hour, we are Sound Bytes. Give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll free, 1-800-790-0415. I think it's Spencerport Canal Days today. One of those is going on.
Or Fairport
Canal Days is going on.
And Bill's training camp is going on.
Bill's training camp, so there's people are busy. But George reminded me it's coming up user group weeks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to start by plugging Rochester Googles. We meet at the first Thursday of every month, so that'll be the 1st of August already. It's August already. Yeah. Rochester Googles, we meet at St. John's Meadows at 7 p.m. If you're interested in Chromebooks, Android phones, computers in general, the internet, Google, name it, anything. We'll talk about anything. We call ourselves Rochester Googles, but like Google, you can ask it anything. So come and join us there. And of course, the following week will be apple cider.
Apple cider, yeah.
And are they back at August? What's happening in August? Is it the picnic this week?
No. We had the picnic already.
Well, it's not for 2 weeks, so we'll hear about that next week from Steve.
Steve is he's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's all right. We're just.
Can we still hold the vote?
Yeah.
Hold off on the vote. We're still trying to make up our mind after how many? Coming up on 30 years.
Returns still coming in, ladies and gentlemen. We'll announce the results when we can.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't pay you to say that,
Well, he's not paying enough. I'm telling you that right now. That's very clear. All right, let's do another news story. Speaking of Google, your home is supposed to be your sanctuary. We need to get people in here. Your home is supposed to be your sanctuary, but for people who are partially or fully paralyzed, home is sometimes a challenging space. The Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation and Google announced a partnership on Friday to better understand how technology can uplift folks living with paralysis. As part of that effort, Google is donating 100,000 Google Home Minis to help that community. I've been using mine for a few months, and it's helped me control my environment, gain more independence, and have a little fun, all with my voice, said Paralympic powerlifter Garrison Red. I said it in a blog post that announced the donation. The Google Home Mini, a smart speaker that packs a good amount of computing power despite its small size, can be connected to your Nest thermostat, set your alarms, manage your calendar, play music, answer your most pressing questions. Do just an amazing amount of stuff. 29 years ago today, the Americans with Disabilities Act passed landmark legislation making public spaces more accessible for everyone. Unfortunately, the world isn't flat, and there are still obstacles for people living with paralysis, said Red, who is also a motivational speaker. I'm hopeful that Google Nest can help more people make their homes that much easier to navigate, just as it has for me. Integrating in any of the assistants, whether it's Google's, Apple's, Microsoft's, or Amazon's, can make life easier and more convenient for anyone. But for the physically challenged, it can provide some freedoms and abilities that may have previously been lacking. How do you use your assistant? Give us a call, 585-966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll free, 1-800-790-0415. You use Siri a lot.
Yeah. Yes,
I use both Google and Alaska, as we call her here, the Amazon. We call it Alaska because if I say the other word, it sets them off to people who are listening.
Okay.
Who have one. So,
by the way, before I get off what you just said, I mean, if you have any veterans out there, I married a Marine also, but if you have any veterans out there and you're not taking advantage of all the things that the VA can do for you, I mean, get down to your VA, get a VA card, and I'll tell you, they are awesome. They are really awesome up here, and they'll give you whatever you need. You need wheelchairs. I mean, they're going to go out of their way for you. So
they're good people.
Take advantage of that.
You're a Marine.
Yeah.
Dave's a Marine.
Yeah. And my wife and I, we get down to VA all the time. Well, considering my advanced age. Yeah.
Sure. You're a doddering old man.
Yeah, I just hobbled down there, but they're great for me, and they even outsource now. So if they can't handle it there, they're with the new program that's now they can outsource you down to Rochester, down to I mean, it's great. University of Rochester, they bring you down there, and the VA picks up the tab. You can't beat that. You can't beat that.
All right, to the phones. Our first caller is Roger from Rochester, New York. Hi, Roger. What's up?
Hi there. I have got a problem. I was hoping I'd find out when Google came to Rochester for the blind convention, but I didn't find that out. I have about 250 gigabytes worth of old-time radio shows.
You too,
Right now I have them backed up on terabyte drives. But I was wondering, can I put them up? I think maybe I could put them up on the Google Music and not have to pay a lot for them and have them available on my phone and everything without putting them actually onto my phone or anything, because I don't have that kind of memory.
Right. Well, that's a lovely question. It depends. That's my favorite answer. It depends.
I like that.
The reality is that some OTR programs are still under copyright. Others pretend to be under copyright, and people will sue you because they think they own the copyright, and they don't, but that's a separate story for a separate day.
Time.
One of the things that many people are doing is putting as much known out of copyright music up on places like Google Drive, on Google Music, and I forget what the capacity is of Google Music. So
50, I heard it's 50,000, but I'm not sure of that.
Yeah,
50,000 songs, something like that.
I think it is too. 50,000 songs. So theoretically, that should not be a problem as long as each individual file is smaller than 300 megabytes.
In there, yeah, okay.
So theoretically, it is not a problem. However, you may run. You want to be aware of the possibility that there may be erroneous copyright issues.
Is there any way to check that?
Let me tell you my background. Back in the day, I also have at least 250 CDs of MP3, so I've got easily a terabyte of OTR myself.
Yeah.
And I put it up on the internet and immediately started getting hit with takedown notices because they said it was under copyright. It turns out 99% of it is not under copyright.
Yeah.
But anybody, there was, I'll tell you a good story. There's a company that downloaded all of my Shadow material. The Shadow.
Right. I know what it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men. And then sold it. And then sued me because he said he had the copyright.
Lovely. All right.
But at any rate, the point is you just need to be aware that there may be copyright issues. So what you have to do is the government has a copyright database.
Okay. Open. Can I write a pro routine to go against it and go down through this whole thing? I got like 50,000 shows out there.
Right. I honestly don't know. I do know that at copyright.gov, I think it's us.copy. No, it's just copyright.gov can do that. But I've never paid a lot of attention to that because I knew which of my stuff was actually copyright.
What I did
out of copyright.
is back at a couple of years ago at the Hamfest, there's a guy selling them, and I just bought his collection.
Sure.
Lock, stock, and barrel. The whole thing from he was at the convention, some guy out of Ohio someplace, and so I just bought the whole collection, and I've supplied Reach Out Radio with their old time radio for probably 12, 15 years now.
Nice. Very nice.
I just like it. If I go somewhere or something, I'd have it available if it's out there on Google Drive from my phone or something.
Yeah, of course. I said, I would certainly not hesitate myself to put it up there, but I would be aware that the possibility exists, and you need to be prepared for that. That there will be copyright challenges to some of the stuff.
Okay.
And a lot of that stuff you'll actually find on archive.org now. And if they've got it, you can almost be certain it's out of copyright.
Oh, really? I can always just take I could scan that and just put it into a file and do my own search, too.
Exactly.
That's not a problem.
So at least as a start, pretty much you're almost guaranteed that anything you find in archive.org is out of copyright.
Right. Just a little, I won't go into detail, but a little bit about me is I was at some of the very first PC Cube shows with Nick and those people.
Yep.
And I was 4 years the president of TRS-80 user group, so been around this game almost as long as you guys.
I remember you showing up a number of times.
Very, very much.
I remember you showing up many years there, Dennis.
Yeah.
No, it's Roger.
Okay.
No, Roger. I'm sorry. Roger Dennis.
I'm visually impaired, and I work for Kodak. But I was a pro programmer actually, and ran their directory while I was working. So enjoy. Have a good day.
Thanks. You too.
Okay. Thank you.
Have a good one, Roger.
Keep smiling.
Yep. Bye bye.
I did notice as soon as he said depends, you looked at me. Is that something to do with my old age? Well, now you saw that, right? He looked at me right away when he said depends, right? I don't do that. I don't mention the hair jokes, do I?
No, you don't. And and I apologize. I apologize humbly for having looked at you.
But at least we're not on camera.
That's exactly right.
You're right.
That's one thing we should. I think Steve said he was still going to get the stream up.
He said he was going to get the stream up, and certainly.
But luckily, there's no cameras here in the studio.
Right. Which is good for you guys.
Yeah.
You can get to Old Time Radio. By the way, we have I'm trying to set this up while I'm talking. I'm no longer good at
walking and chewing gum at the same time.
Walking and chewing gum. Yeah. There it is. I'm going to put up a post for the archive.org old time radio stuff. And they've got a lot of the stuff, not everything, but they've got a lot. There's an RSS feed for that and a bunch of other stuff. So Roger could find the RSS feed, pull that in, and write his own little Perl or Python or whatever he writes stuff for that. So there's a lot of old time radio stuff online. There's a lot of old time radio. So I've got CDs full of it.
Mm-hmm.
My wife listens to it all the time. I've set up a server at home, but I haven't put it out on the internet. I could do that. I've got enough space on one of my servers. I could do that.
Yeah, in your free time.
Yes. It would be in my free time. But I could do that.
10 terabyte drives now.
And Christmas is coming too.
Yeah. But I did that. I had a server set up at RIT. They eventually made me take it down because that one little 486 was serving 7 terabytes of data a day.
Wow.
Is that all?
Yeah. And they said I had to shut it down. I understood. It was perfectly fair. I honestly didn't think that it would serve that much. I mean, I didn't really do the math at first, but I thought, first, who's going to want it? And secondly, how much can I push through a 10 megabit per second connection? We'll do the math. It's 7 terabytes a day.
You did quite a bit.
So I shut it all down, except that I had a bunch of folks overseas in the military in various places who had written to me and told me how much they really loved having it up.
Wow.
So I said, you know what? I'll take it down for everybody else, but I'll put up a firewall that lets them get through.
Perfect.
And so I kept that for them for another, I want to say 3 years. 3 years before I finally moved my office and everything else and had to take it all down.
Well,
anyway.
that's one thing, again, we've said to help our military is Skype. When Microsoft and them sucked up Skype, that they kept that free and kept it going. But I'm glad that they did do that because there was talk, maybe as too often they abandoned stuff, but at least they left that alone because that ties more military families to home than you could shake a stick at. Because we've got so many young soldiers that are deployed all over this world, and thanks to Skype and the internet nowadays, and especially when they're overseas, they've got faster internet over there than we've got here sometimes, and they can still stay in touch with their loved ones and do FaceTime and share it. And that, I think, is a great tool, and I wish they could use it even more than they currently do, but at least makes the away time. I know from my nephew, he's overseas, again, for one of the deployments, and it still gets to see his family and everything else. And I know that's true for a lot of other families, and can't say enough good things about it.
Right, exactly right. All right, I've just published. No, I haven't. Now I've published it. Published a link to the Old Time Radio archive at archive.org. If you don't know about archive.org, it's movies, it's TV shows, it's radio, it's books, it's pretty much everything that the internet has ever had is available on OTR. Programs, pictures, anything that's basically out of copyright. So a lot of movies are out there. My Man Godfrey, great film, is out there. Any movie with those folks is good stuff. But anyway, the point is, there's a bunch of things on archive.org. Old Time Radio is one of them. I love Old Time Radio. I listen all the time. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and the old Gunsmoke collection, and Richard Diamond, and just Philip Marlowe, the Six Shooter.
Well, see, there's another project for you to do. You get your new Raspberry Pi 4, set that up with a hard drive, and just have it stream as a different hotspot.
That's exactly right. It isn't that hard to do. I could do it with a Raspberry Pi 3. You could do all it's doing is pushing bits, so you could do that with a 2 or even maybe a 1, maybe a 0.
Yeah. Who knows what shadow lurks behind your...
Well, that's one thing I'm going to start to do. I'm going to take down one of my Raspberry Pis that I was using on the TV and reformat that because I've been getting into hotspots.
Yep.
For repeaters and nodes. And something else I can play with, and I'm going to pull that down and create a hotspot. Then that way I can link to literally nodes all around the world.
Right. And so, yes, and the point is with a small device like a Raspberry Pi, you can do it with any computer.
So much.
But why spend a couple of $100 buying a desktop or a laptop to do that when for $35? All right, you got to buy the power supply, so it's about $40.
Well, let's put it this way: you can get the whole thing, the whole kit,
right,
for say, last I knew, $80. That's all.
The case.
That's all in the case,
sink,
the heat sinks.
everything.
That's the power supply, and that's a power supply which I got. And anybody ordering the Raspberry Pis, look for it. The Raspberry Pi, normally you had to unplug and plug it in.
Yep.
This power supply, like I say, for the $80, has a little toggle switch in the middle of it that you can turn it on and turn it off.
Nice.
So you're not down there plugging and unplugging. So for the $80, it was all in, and that came with the SD card and everything else. I mean, for $80, you can literally have a computer that you can program, and
a device like that, you can go out and get those $80 hard drives, stick them in a little USB case, external USB case. It's only USB 2 most of the older Pis. But so what if while you're doing is streaming music, that's more than fast enough.
Heck yeah.
It's not great for video, but it's certainly fast enough for audio.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I can put all my music up on that, and
there you go.
And there are programs, there are free programs that will auto stream.
There
things.
is so much stuff out there now for the Raspberry Pi. It's unbelievable. I mean, there are companies that are doing fantastic things in all realms of computing and doing stuff, whether it's music or, turning it into another computer, just like you said, to do movies and all that other type of stuff. And it's a lot of fun setting it up because it's not a huge investment. And if you mess it up, oh, well, so you just erase the little flash drive or, the little SIM card and start over. No big deal.
No big deal. It's ridiculously easy to do, and it's easy to use, and it's easy to set up, and it's so much fun.
Well, see, that's where, like, for you and I, and we've done this for quite a few decades, in the beta testing of software and everything else, we had fun when we could break it.
Yes.
That was the goal. If you could break it, yes, you celebrated. Even though that meant you had to format the machine and start again, that was no biggie.
Right.
But you expected it. Well, the same with the Raspberry Pi. If you mess it up, no biggie. You can just re-image it and start again because the image is off on your, say, your PC. You just put the image back onto the disk or the little SIM card and put it back in and boot it up and start again.
Yep. And I just found an article that says how to build an internet radio station with a Raspberry Pi.
That's
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
in your spare time.
In my spare time,
you could have it do so many things. You could have it control your house. You could tie it into your network of your house to control lighting, the heating, and everything else with these smart homes. That's what they're using nowadays, is a small Raspberry Pi because it doesn't take a lot of power,
right,
to do all this.
Then the Raspberry Pi is like I said, $35 for the Raspberry Pi 3, and it's got a 4-core 1.2 gigahertz processor. It's got a gig of RAM. It's got 100 megabit Ethernet. The new ones have gigabit Ethernet. It's got Bluetooth and everything else.
It's got the wireless. That's what I'm running mine off. It's wireless.
Yep. You can make it a full-blown computer for $35. Well, yeah, and the other case, everything else, $80. $80.
$80.
$80 for a computer.
Complete computer.
I've got extra monitors and keyboards and mice. Yeah. So for $80, and I've actually already got the Raspberry Pi 3. And if you go with the 4, you're going to need to add a fan. But beyond that, we're good. All right, that music tells me you've wasted an hour of your life with this nonsense. But shockingly, we're no smarter than you, so we're going to do it again. So we'll be back after a few minutes. Take a quick bio break. We'll be back with Dave Enright, George Engel, me, Nick, Francesco, and you. It's 59 minutes after the hour. You're listening to the longest-running computer show in the known universe. Holy cow, that must mean we're Soundbites. And we are, right here on the Truly Great, and truly grateful to you that we can continue to be member-supported Jazz 90.1. Don't go too far away, because we'll be back. See you on the other side.
Online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at soundbites.org. More with Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
WGMC Greece Rochester.
A public service of the Greece Central School District.
Jazz 90.1.
On Instagram at WGMC Jazz 901.
The Supreme Court has cleared the way for the Trump administration to tap billions of dollars in Pentagon funds to build sections of a border wall with Mexico. Correspondent Sarah Westwood reports a decision greenlights spending $2.5 billion.
Construction of the border wall, one of President Trump's major unfulfilled promises from the campaign. This allows him to sort of neutralize criticism that he hasn't delivered on that promise. He's certain to point to this as an inflection point in his efforts to build the wall.
Thousands have taken to the streets of Hong Kong once again today to protest an extradition measure with China, which has since been tabled. Correspondent Anna Corin.
These people feel like they are not being listened to, that their Hong Kong is not allowed to function the way that it has for the last 22 years because China is encroaching on it.
Police in Hong Kong have warned protesters they may be arrested if they refuse to leave a gathering near a subway station. I'm Ann Cates.
Here's another I Love New York travel tip.
The annual Lucille Ball Comedy Festival, a laugh-filled celebration of all things comedy, is coming to New York State's Chautauqua-Allegheny region and the National Comedy Center in Jamestown, August 7th through the 11th. This year's festival, headlined by comics Sebastian Maniscalco and John Mulaney, features more than 50 events and 30 artists. Festival goers will find something for everyone, from a free kids comedy show and a series of discussions about the comedic arts to some of the best stand-up comedians that the nation has to offer. And there's also the opening of an Ernie Kovacs Centennial exhibit featuring never-before-seen archives of the legendary comedian. For more information on the Lucille Ball Comedy Festival, visit the I Love New York website at iloveny.com or dial 1-800-CALL-NYS. That's 1-800-CALL-New York State. Find what you love in New York State.
We are there, day one, with baby names and a gift that lasts a lifetime. We are there as you grow, protecting you and those you love. And we are there as you start your next chapter. We are with you through life's journey. We are Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. Get to know us at socialsecurity.gov.
Every year, first responders and police are injured or killed while assisting motorists on the side of busy highways. The law says that when you see flashing lights on the side of the road, slow down and move to the next lane. Disobeying the law can result in fines and criminal charges if someone is injured. So if you see a police or emergency vehicle on the side of the road, slow down to at least 20 miles per hour below the speed limit and move to the next lane. To learn more, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
We've got lots of great new blues in this week's edition of At the Crossroads, plus a couple of older cuts as well. Listen for Savoy Brown, Manx Mariner Mainline, the B.B. King Blues Band, Cara Granger, Kelly's Lot, and Soupbone. It's back to 1954 for the classic cut from Gatemouth Brown. The Cashbox Kings are in the spotlight.
Every year, first responders and police are injured or killed while assisting motorists on the side of busy highways. The law says that when you see flashing lights on the side of the road, slow down and move to the next lane. Disobeying the law can result in fines and criminal charges if someone is injured. So if you see a police or emergency vehicle on the side of the road, slow down to at least 20 miles per hour below the speed limit and move to the next lane. To learn more, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Limited tickets remain for Jazz 90.1's Jazz Cruises coming up on Monday, August 19th, featuring Paradigm Shift, and September 9th, featuring Steve Grills and the Roadmasters. Join us for a 2-hour cruise aboard the Colonial Belle, complete with a light meal on board and a cash bar. Get tickets online now at jazz901.org or by calling us at 966-5299. Hurry, these cruises will sell out.
We are there, day one, with baby names and a gift that lasts a lifetime. We are there as you grow, protecting you and those you love. And we are there as you start your next chapter. We are with you through life's journey. We are Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. Get to know us at socialsecurity.gov.
Welcome back to America's longest-running computer show, Sound Bytes, on member-supported Jazz 90.1. Get online now. Call 966-JAZZ. That's 966-5299. Toll-free 800-790-0415. Or submit your question by email at soundbytes.org. Once again, here's Nick Francesco, Dave Enright, and Steve Ray on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And George Engel.
And at 5 minutes after the hour, we're hurtling headlong into the second hour of the longest-running computer show in the known universe. That's Sound Bytes on member-supported Jazz 90.1. And yes, for those of you who are just tuning in, Steve Ray, one step ahead of the law, somewhere in the Southwest. We have the great George Engel here with us today. He will be, so far, has been ably filling Steve's rather large shoes. Yes,
because I'm vertical and on this side of the grass, right?
Because he's this side of the grass and he can speak English, so we took him in. He was just wandering up and down the street, and we told him he was a computer guy and brought him in.
Yeah. With the paper bag in his hand, right?
Paper bag. All right, but to the phones. Our next caller is Dave from Webster, New York. Hiya, Dave. What's up?
I'm currently using a MacBook Pro from early 2011 with 4 megabytes of RAM, and I believe it's nearing the end of the highway for its shelf life. I'm thinking of going to a Chromebook for travel purposes and home and personal management, but then using an iMac for more sophisticated home video editing and so on. Any thoughts on that approach?
Sounds like a solid plan to me.
Sounds good to me. And I'm a solid Apple guy. I mean, at one time I was using both. I had a PC and an iMac. I love the iMac, but right now I turn on my iMac maybe once a week. I almost live and sleep with my iPad, one of the newer iPads.
Right.
I find the iPad probably does almost everything I want to do with traveling. My wife and I, we both bring both of them with us. She brings her iPad, I bring mine. We go to dental appointments, you name it, and everything is on the iPad. Yeah. I can start writing an article on my iPad, pick it up on the iMac, or even look at my Apple Watch and pick up some stuff. So, yeah, I like your approach. The Chromebook is probably light, inexpensive. It'll do a lot for you. I like that. Plus the keyboard.
Yeah. And it depends on what it is you're doing. If you're doing the sort of thing George is talking about, writing and spreadsheets and yada, 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 if you're doing those in Google Drive, you can get to them on your Chromebook and on your iMac. So it's not a problem to do that. And you will be surprised at how very capable the Chromebook is for everyday use. And your use case is pretty much exactly my use case, except my home machine is a Linux box. But the point is, I've got a large and expensive but stationary machine at home that I edit audio and video on and things like that. Right, and it's a big monitor and yada, yada, yada. But when I'm out and about, I don't need more than the Chromebook. I can write, I can edit, I can talk to people, I can Skype, I can do whatever.
Small and light.
Yeah, and it's small and light. I can carry it around. I get 10 hours of battery life out of the thing. Mm-hmm. You are exactly in the ballpark.
Yeah, I like that. I like your approach.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And it's inexpensive. That's the best thing. That's a good shot for you.
there's a definite price differential between an iPad and the Chromebook.
Yep. And while you get certainly the convenience of the ecosystem when you have all Apple products, most people don't really need that anymore. Mm-hmm. And so if you can save yourself $100 by using a Chromebook, save it. Absolutely. Makes sense to me. Good choice, Dave.
Yeah, good.
Thank you for your help, gentlemen.
Have a great day, my friend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Have fun. We are big fans of the Chromebook here. Like I said, I could do everything I do on the Chromebook. But, when I'm editing large video or audio files, it's just easier and faster to do it at the big machine at home. But I do like the larger screen no matter what I'm doing. But, when I'm out and about, and by out and about, I mean not sitting in the computer room, right? Whether I'm sitting in the kitchen or the living room, or I'm out at a restaurant or sitting on the beach, or, wherever I happen to be, I've got a Chromebook with me and I can do everything I need to do right on the Chromebook. And I'm never out of touch, and I'm never out of reach of the people I need to reach. It's very cool.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's very cool. All right. Back to the phones. Our next caller is where is my list? Here it is. Joel from Pittsford, New York. Hiya, Joel. What's up?
Hi, guys. Before the break, you talked about a couple things I wanted to amplify on. A couple of years ago, I had a friend who was injured in an accident, became a paraplegic, and we were able to install Amazon devices in his room at the nursing home and in his wife's apartment. And they were able to communicate. He was able to control his TV with voice and also get radio stations in his native language. It's amazing what these devices can do for people who are handicapped. So I'd encourage folks out there who know people who could benefit from this stuff to think about the different applications that are available on, either the Amazon devices or the Google devices to help folks out. The other comment I wanted to make was I know that you have two veterans there, and we are fortunate in this area to have Honor Flight Rochester, which is a program that will take veterans down to D.C. to the monuments. It's free for the vets.
Yep.
It's at honorflightrochester.org. And I know George sounds like he might be old enough to qualify. Probably Dave is too. So if you are interested, you can sign up at honorflightrochester.org. So there are two things that can help older folks with getting on with their lives.
Yeah, one of the other things that I'm part of, it's called the Patriot Guard.
Yes, Patriot Guard shows up at the Honor Flight welcome home ceremonies.
Yeah, I've been doing that now, I think, for about 7 years. And basically what it is we greet fewer and fewer now of the World War II vets coming back home. And they are just so touched because a lot of them, and even the current soldiers, never got this welcome home when they came home. So
particularly the Vietnam era folks. There was a flight in the spring, all for Vietnam era vets.
Yep. Yeah, and like I said, I've been a participant in that for a number of years, and I consider it an honor, even though I served my country, an honor just to welcome the others, because if it wasn't for the older vets, we wouldn't be here now.
Yeah.
Well, we'll look for you next time, because I do one of the photographers for the welcome home ceremonies.
Well, thank you for helping out also.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for all you do.
Yeah, I already put in my application for the Honor Flight. I remember my uncle. He's in upstate New York. He was in Saipan in WW2. He came back, and I had 5 uncles. They were all in military WW2, but the one that was in Saipan, he came back, and I remember as a little kid, I saw this bronze giant coming into my room, and he's probably the reason I went into the Marines in the first place. But the guy was absolutely great, but never talked about WW2. He just emotionally, he couldn't talk about it. He said,
all right, well, let's get on to some of these other questions.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. I have a Galaxy 6, and I'm upgrading my phone. I'm thinking of going with a Pixel. Can you tell me the advantages or disadvantages of switching? And will I be able to transfer the data, all my data, text messaging, and etc.?
Great question. Okay. Again, I'm not looking at George. It depends. The problem,
Thank you.
my pleasure.
Thank you.
The problem with the Galaxy is that Samsung has some redundant programs that they have put into their phones that you cannot get rid of that come up by default. So unless you've changed them, your messages are on a message program that belongs to Samsung, not to Google. And your photos are in a program that belongs to Samsung, not to Google. So you need to be careful when you're making the transition from a Galaxy I did this, from a Galaxy phone to a Pixel, that you pick up those things. If you've been using the actual Google Messages and Google Photos, then those things will come over automatically, absolutely no problem. But if you've been using the Samsung messaging program and the Samsung photo program, then those things will not come over automatically, and the person at your who in the store who moves things over from one phone to another needs to know about that and do the moving for you.
Well, with my recent Pixel, I went from one to the other, and I don't know, I can't speak to this, but right now, when I went from my original Pixel to the 3A, they give you a cable.
Well, but the problem is that has nothing to do with Samsung, because Samsung has their own set of programs.
What I'm saying, though, is I'm wondering if it will still work, that when you hook up that cable...
I did this. I went through this because I had a Samsung S5, and I went to the Pixel.
The 3A, though? The 3A, what I'm saying, though, is my original Pixel didn't come with this cable.
Yeah, I know,
the
but
3A came with this other cable.
No, I get that. It doesn't matter because it's not Samsung. If it's in the Samsung apps, then Google doesn't have the rights, the access to go in and move stuff. So what we're saying to the person who texted in is most things will move over just fine. Your apps can move over all of that stuff. But be aware that unless you specifically tell the person at the phone store about moving your text message things, they won't move over.
Yeah, you're going to have to get a Move app, which a lot of them have.
Right. There are apps that do that. You just have to be aware it's a separate step.
That's why I thought that was so slick that this came with this other cable. I'm going, what's this for?
Well, Google to Google, it's like doing Apple to Apple. It can be automated in a way that you can't from one vendor to another.
Yeah, but I did something really unusual.
What?
I read the instructions.
What is wrong with you?
I know it. And it told me.
Cheater.
I know. Hook up this to this, and all of a sudden I see this thing. Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. And it's moving all my apps.
Yeah. Easy. I've always said the only difference between everybody else and the gurus is the gurus read the instructions. But yeah, so if you're going to move, and by the way, I admit that I personally am lusting after the Pixel 3A. I think it's an amazing phone. My Pixel 3 is running fine, knock on wood. So I'm not...
Don't say it too loud. I did.
Yeah.
Look at me.
But the Pixel 3A is an amazing phone. So is the Pixel 3. So is the Pixel 1 that I have. So whichever Pixel you go to, the 4, I don't know. Nobody knows. One of the things people always ask me is, why aren't you talking about what the next iPhone is going to be? Because who the hell knows what the next iPhone is going to be? Rumors are all over the place. It'll do your dishes. It won't do your dishes, but it'll clean the garage. You know what? Why don't we just wait until the thing comes out? Because 80% of the rumors are wrong to begin with. Yeah. So I'm not going to get because then you told me it would do my dishes. Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's one thing I got to figure out on my phone again.
How to do the dishes?
No.
I'm sorry.
A feature that was there. They had this when you get a call in.
Yeah.
You could sit there and preview it.
Yeah. It's called Knock Knock.
I got it. mine had that on, and I don't know what, something updated, and now all of a sudden...
Yeah, I think it's called Knock Knock.
You can preview it and see what they're doing, whether it's a spam call or not, because then once you do it, my phone doesn't ring at all, anything. No, because I'll see, oh, wait a minute, all these spam phone calls came in. My phone never rang.
Right. That's one of the nice things, by the way, to our text messenger. That's one of the really nice things about Google is on a Pixel phone, they pre-screen the calls. They have a massive spam database, and you don't even get those calls anymore. I get very, very few spam calls, and I can report those, and I never see them again. And that's a service Google offers to Pixel owners. So I'm a big fan of that. My phone used to ring 15, 20, 30. And I'm on the do not call list. They don't care. That's just one more number they can call. But because I now have a Google phone, I rarely get a phone call that's spam. So I really like that.
Well, isn't there something with Congress now where they're trying to push the not the providers but Verizon and all the AT&T, they're trying to push them to say enough is enough. I want you to take care of it, and we do not want you to pass that on to your customer.
Right, and they're all pushing back, saying it's impossible to do, and Google's saying, well, we're doing it.
Yeah, right.
We're already doing it. What is wrong with you people?
And then I look at today. I looked at there's an AT&T app. So much per month. It comes out to be $48 a year, and they're going to take care of your spam calls. And here's Congress saying, hey, and rightly so, saying we want you to take care of it and don't pass it on to the end user.
Right, and don't pass it. Well,
you're making enough now.
That won't happen. They always will. They don't care about you. Yeah. You're the product.
Yeah.
Shareholders are the customer. So Google does that now, and it is. I can't tell you how nice it is the phone doesn't ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The phone doesn't ring, and if it does, 99% of the time, it's a call I either want, or at least I know who it is, and I don't want to talk to.
Well, we had somebody else text in that says, your caller can simply upload all his OTR files to his Google Play Music account, then access them using the Google Play music app on this phone. He doesn't need to worry about property laws, and is not posting.
He does need to worry about property laws.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Google has the same kind of license agreements with all the major music providers that, say, this station has. So we can play any music because we are covered. Google has that same sort of license, the same sort of licensing with all of the music companies, so they can play any music that they have. Those licenses do not cover old-time radio.
Right.
So if it's if it's in the public domain, if it's out of copyright, then it's perfectly legal for them to share, for you to put it up there and stream it. If it is still in copyright, it is not legal, and you are not covered by anything on Google. So that's why you need to be aware. You're absolutely right. What Roger can do is take all of his OTR, put it on Google Play, and stream it all day long. 50,000, at least 50,000. So, which, trust me, if you've got that much OTR, you've got way more than 50,000 songs, files. But believe me, I know. But the fact is that you can put up to 50,000 files up there, and that's fine. But you do have to be aware of copyright, because the copyright on old-time radio is different from the streaming license that Google has for music. So don't spread that misinformation. There is a distinct difference between those two things, and believe me, I've been through all of this. So you need to understand that there is a difference, and that difference can be significant. And most of the old-time radio stuff nobody cares about anymore, because it is all copyright-free these days, or in the public domain. But you need to be aware that it is possible that you will have something that is still under copyright, and that is not covered by Google's music streaming licenses. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Stan from Webster, New York. Hi, Stan. What's up?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Peachy, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I recently bought, just this past month, 2 of these smaller style Acer Windows-based computers.
Yep.
They're currently set up with the Windows 7 Pro. I bought them from a private party company that was just selling things on Facebook Marketplace.
Sure. Are these desktops or laptops?
Yeah, so they're not laptops. They're just basically like some very small desktop square style, like a Mac Mini.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious because I know you guys have talked in the past about Windows 10 upgrades. I don't know if there's still a way to get that because I just know that you guys have talked about everything from under Windows 10 is usually not going to be supported after who knows how long at this point.
Right. Well, Windows 7 is no longer supported unless you're on the extended coverage. They're still getting some security updates, but that's pretty much it unless there's something really serious, which there has been 3 times this year. But the upgrade itself would now cost you money. If you're going to go to Windows, many people are putting Linux on those smaller machines. It also depends on what the specs are. Do you know how much RAM they have and how big the hard drives are?
I haven't even looked, I'll be honest. Like, I bought them, I saw them, I figured, I bought 2 of these Acers for under $100. So
Right. Well, here's the deal. If Windows 10 does not run well on less than 4 gigs of RAM, it'll run. Okay. They say the minimum is 2, I believe. Right. And it'll run. You measure response time with a calendar, but it'll run. If you get a 4 gig machine, it'll be much happier. Obviously, 8 gig is even better. You want a minimum of a 200 gig hard drive. They say 40, right. And that's true unless you're going to Windows 10, because that move up to Windows 10, they actually put 3 copies of the operating system out on the hard drive while they're moving things around. So you need a fairly large hard drive in order to do that. But if the specs are good enough, then you can certainly go to Windows 10. Now, there is a way to get Windows 10 still for free if you are visually impaired. But if you're not, doing so would be illegal, and I won't tell you how to do it.
Right. No, I can see pretty well.
Right. So right now, if you want to go to Windows 10, it will cost you money. If you want to go to Linux, it's free. If you want to go to Neverware's Cloud Ready, that's free. But moving to Windows 10 will cost you money.
I see. Do you know? I haven't really looked into this, so I apologize for being a little bit unfamiliar. But do you know how much I could possibly buy, like a key for usually these days?
Yes,
like a product key.
A legitimate, legal key.
What, $90?
For the Windows 10 regular edition is $119, and for the Pro version is $200.
Now, if I'm a teacher and I teach in public, I teach in public schools and private schools, so to speak, is there an option for that?
You'd have to speak to the people at your institution.
Yeah.
So many of them have it. I know that many of them have it. So you buy
academically.
Yeah, academic. It used to be $10 for Windows 10, but it depends on what institution you're in and whether they're part of that program. So you need to talk to the folks, to the sysadmins at your school.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Just curious, because I'm a fan of Motorola. I use their phones. I've been a fan since the Razr was out. I currently work on the Motorola 2 Force, Z Force 2, and I love it. I've been noticing that they've been talking online a lot more about their new product that may or may not be coming out, depending on the specs, but these foldable flip phone smartphones. I was curious about your opinions on what's going on with that. Is that going to be like a reality anytime in the near future, or do you think that's going to take some time still?
Well, the problem with all of these things, that fold is that folding screen.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the issue that Samsung had with their first folder, and how they had to then take it right off the market.
Crashed and burned.
So I'm not entirely certain that these things are ready for prime time, although honestly I believe if anybody can get it right, it would be Motorola. The products work. The question is the folding. How long does the folding last? How good is the hinge? How good is the, how many times can you flex that screen, et cetera, et cetera. So in general, yes, those things work, but are they ready for prime time? Your guess is as good as mine at this point. And Stan, that music tells me we got to go.
Thank you again for your time. Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
That's my pleasure. We're going to be back in just a couple of minutes with Dave Enright, George Engel, me, Nick, Francesco, and you. It's 29 minutes after the hour. It's Soundbites. It's member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Before you call into our show, please make note of the following rules. 1, turn your radio down. 2, turn your radio down lower. 3, remember, nobody has invented a good-sounding speakerphone yet. Don't use them. 4, make sure you have a point. It makes for a more interesting show. 5, calling does not guarantee you'll get on the air. No whining. 6, if you do get on the air, please do not tell the host what you just told the screener. We don't care. And 7, is that radio turned down yet? We hope this will make for a more enjoyable program, and we thank you for your time.
It's America's longest-running computer show. Back to more Sound Bites with Nick, Dave, and Steve. Next on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Has your child swallowed your medicine, your laundry detergent, your nail polish remover? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you inhaled paint thinner, glue, pesticides? Call the Poison Helpline. Have a question about a dose, a fume, something your kid just drank? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
When you underwrite the programming of Jazz 90.1, you make your business known to people who enjoy jazz as much as you do. Your on-air message is short and tasteful, making it easy to remember with basic information about your business, including how to reach you. Underwriting is economical, too. To find out more about underwriting Jazz 90.1, call 966-2660. That's 966-2660.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
In many countries around the world, medical care is scarce. Countless millions have no access to safe surgery. Mercy Ships is there to help. Mercy Ships provides free surgeries for the thousands of those who are waiting for surgery at each port.
Mercy Ships is bringing services to countries that would otherwise never be able to access those services.
Find out how you can help by visiting our website at mercyships.org. That's mercyships.org.
This is Rob Linton, station manager of Jazz 90.1. Annual membership contributions and business underwriting keep our programming on the air. The future growth and excellence of our station depends on our ability to also build a permanent base of support through an active and successful legacy gift program. Please continue your gift past a lifetime by including Jazz 90.1 in your will, trust, or general estate plans, and join us in building a legacy of giving to support public jazz radio in Rochester. For more information on planned giving, you may visit jazz901.org or call us at 966-2660. Thank you.
Has your child swallowed your medicine, your laundry detergent, your nail polish remover? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you inhaled paint thinner, glue, pesticides? Call the Poison Helpline. Have a question about a dose, a fume, something your kid just drank? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
The young men and women who become United States Marines come from our hometowns to become a part of something greater than themselves. This commitment represents the highest level of steadfast allegiance to the betterment of our communities, our country, and our Marine Corps. The journey will be one of the most challenging, but also one of the most rewarding. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I fish. I clean local waterways so others can fish and swim. I provide fishing and water safety education to kids. And I maintain a healthy fish population so tomorrow's anglers can enjoy a catch. All because I buy a fishing license. When you buy a fishing license, you do a lot. In fact, every dollar from a license purchase protects and maintains your local waterways for future generations to enjoy. Learn more at takemefishing.org.
Jazz 90.1 weather.
Building heat and humidity the story across Rochester, Western New York, and the Finger Lakes going into early next week. It's getting a little dry outside of a rogue shower here later this afternoon. We'll just find a fair amount of sunshine mixed with some puffy fair weather clouds for your Saturday. The high temperature in the middle 80s, just a little bit cooler by the water's edge of Lake Ontario. Mainly clear to partly starlit tonight. The overnight low in the upper 60s to near 70, a touch more muggy. More humid on Sunday with hazy sunshine, highs again in the middle and upper 80s. I'm meteorologist Josh Nichols for Jazz 90.1.
And currently right now we've got a few clouds out there. 86 degrees out at the airport and 89 here at member-supported Jazz 90.1.
This is Mike Velasquez. Join me every Monday from 8 p.m. to midnight on member-supported Jazz 90.1.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nick Francesco.
I'm Dave Enright.
And George Engel.
And at 36 minutes after the hour, we are Sound Bytes. And we have Joe from Brighton, New York on the line. Hi, Joe. What do you know?
Hi. Not much. My Win 7 computer, the solid-state C drive burned up, but I have a backup. Now, my question is, can I enter files from this into my Kubuntu computer?
Yes. Yes. You should be able to mount well, it depends on which version of Kubuntu you have. For those of you who don't know, Kubuntu or Kubuntu or Kubuntu or whatever you want to pronounce it, is Ubuntu, a version of Linux using the KDE front end, the graphical user interface, the GUI. One of the nice things about Linux is that you can put any one of dozens of front ends on it. But all of the features that you need to mount your backup drive onto Kubuntu or Kubuntu are part of the base operating system, so it doesn't matter which GUI you're using. So what should have, is this a USB drive, or are you going to, how are you connecting it?
Yeah, USB.
Okay, if it's a USB drive, it should mount automatically. My suggestion would be to reboot your machine first.
Okay.
Just because. And reboot your machine. It should mount on your desktop, and you should be able to pull over all of your files. Now, depending on what format those files are in, can you open them? Well, if you've been using Microsoft Office, then... sorry?
No, I was not using Microsoft Office. They're mostly, I don't know what format they are in, but it's just files like photos and some self videos that I've taken.
Photos and most video formats should move over without any problem whatsoever.
Oh, good.
It's documents that you may not. Most will open with something like LibreOffice, but there are a few esoteric formats that will not open. But most video formats and pictures should move over without any trouble and open just fine.
Oh, good.
Congratulations on the backup.
Yeah. George applauded when you said you had a backup, and I was moved to as well.
Too many don't.
Too many don't. Good for you.
Even though I'm an Apple guy, congratulations, man.
Yeah, no, whatever your format, Apple people better have backups too.
Yep. All machines can die.
That's
they
exactly
still have
right.
hard drives in them.
Not can, but will. It's just a matter of time. Yeah.
That's exactly right. It's not an if,
yep.
it's a when. Good work there, Joe, and you should have no trouble with your Ubuntu setup getting those files over.
Good. Well, thank you so much for your help.
No, good luck. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good. Bye.
Yeah, I've been using Ubuntu for 20 years, 25 years.
Wow.
Since, Linux for 25 years, certainly not Ubuntu for all that time. And
but you were a kid.
I was since I was a kid of
you're a kid compared to me. I'm
30.
an old guy.
40 maybe. All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Jim from Irondequoit, New York. Hiya, Jim. What's up?
Hi, guys. Thanks a lot for taking calls.
Thank you.
The listeners really appreciate it.
Thank
my question is about Windows Update. I'm currently on version 10, Windows 10 version 1809, and I've presented with the option in the settings window update to download and install 1903. What's your guys' recommendation on that? Is this the appropriate time to do that?
Well, next caller. Thanks for calling, Jim.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah. Here's the deal. The 1809 has reached end of life. Microsoft wants you off it.
Right.
And so they are making it harder to stay on 1809.
Right.
To be honest, I cannot think of a single update in the last year and a half that went well for Microsoft overall. Now, individuals went very well, but there were a number of problems in a number of places. Will you be one of them? Well, are you feeling lucky, punk?
Could be.
My suggestion is, yes, you should upgrade to 1903. However, before you do that, make sure you have at least 2 good separate off-site backups.
Okay.
Of all of your data.
Right. Okay.
And maybe go to confession first.
And cross your fingers, right?
Get sinless and cross your fingers. Exactly.
Yeah, okay. So I clean the machine and then do a couple good backups and then give it a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. All right. Yeah, I really, in the past updates, I have very few problems. I mean, everything seemed to have gone smoothly for me. I'm running the HP with, plenty of RAM and version 5.1. So, I guess I'll do as you suggest, clean everything up, back up, and then give it a shot. Thanks,
and make
guys.
sure you have plenty of disk space. That's one of the huge issues that people have. Not enough RAM, not enough disk space. And as long as you have plenty of both, you should be fine.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I've got a nice machine, 12 gigs of RAM and stuff. So thanks, guys.
There you go. Good for you, Jim. Good luck.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Now, I want to hasten to say first, before we move on.
12 gig.
Yeah, 12 gig is good. I want to hasten to say that very few people have had an issue with the upgrades of the Windows machines. But when there are a couple of billion Windows machines, even very few is millions and millions of people. And like I said, it's a crapshoot. Are you feeling lucky? Are you going to fall into the good or the bad column? Are you a good witch or a bad witch? I don't know. But you need to be prepared, and the way you prepare is backup.
Yeah, and clean out any of the stuff that you don't need.
Clean your registry first. That's big.
Well, the temp files in that too.
Clean your temp files, clean your registry, remove any programs you don't need.
That's one thing, again, I want to fall back on, talking about cleaning out the registry. That's where it's a good idea, folks, again, we can't say it enough, and we don't talk about it much, is using Revo Uninstaller, even with Windows 10. Because, see, if you use the Windows Uninstaller, that does not really get rid of the stuff in the registry. All it does is turn the bit off so it passes it. But it's still there, taking up more space that it's got to go by when your machine starts up. So to correctly get rid of all programs, use Revo Uninstaller. That will go through not only the registry, but all your folders on your machine and delete the unnecessary stuff related to that program and do a clean uninstall totally. So definitely, if you haven't already, get Revo Uninstaller and use that from now on to uninstall your stuff. It'll keep the machine and your registry running a lot slicker.
Well, and a lot of people say, I've had my computer for about a year and a half, and I swear it's booting up slower than it used to. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. And the reason is that registry. When you first get a machine, a registry is small. Mm-hmm. Couple 20 meg maybe at the most, depending on what's on your machine. It's small. But as you add and remove programs, like Dave said, it doesn't remove them from the registry. It just zeroes out the bit. So what happens is that registry grows from a bigger 20 meg to 2 gig or 4 gig. And you know how much longer it takes to load in 4 gig and look through 4 gig to find the 7 programs you're actually running? So, yes, your machine is now slower. If you use a product like Revo Uninstaller, particularly if it's a brand new machine, make that the first program you put on, and let it run in the background and watch what you're doing. And whenever you remove a program, use Revo Uninstaller to do the removal, and that will therefore not only remove the program itself, but all the attendant files, which many of the programs don't do, and everything in the registry, which none of the programs do. The registry is the single stupidest idea Microsoft ever had, and that's a wide open field, people.
And one of the other things, folks will sit there and say, well, I really don't take that much on and off my machine. Well, you know what? You don't have to, because what can happen is when Windows does an update, it can change the other programs that were working fine, now all of a sudden don't. One example, say a printer. Your printer was working fine until this update. Now we got to tell folks, uninstall the printer, reinstall it, and look for the newer drivers. The correct way to uninstall it and do the new drivers is by using Revo.
Right. That's exactly right. So be aware that the registry is stupid and to begin with. But the fact is it's fragile, and it grows and grows and grows like Topsy. So what you need to do is make sure that you have cleaned it completely, and that's Revo Uninstaller. So be aware of that. And we're going to go back to the phones, and our next caller is Mark from Greece, New York. Hiya, Mark. What's up?
Hi, guys. I know you were talking about Revo, and it is a wonderful program. There is another one I can suggest. You can kind of do your own homework on it and see what you think. It's from IOBit, called IOBit Uninstaller, and it does the same thing kind of what Revo does. But I find Revo to be a little bit ambiguous because it wants you to look through that registry that comes up and only highlight those and check those bolded entries so that you're not deleting something that's unrelated. Where in IOBit, it only brings up the relevant things to those programs, and you can either manually or automatically delete them.
Oh, nice. So it's more usable for the more amateur user as opposed to the pros.
Right, because I've had a few people that have cursed me because they've gone through and deleted everything in the registry, and I told them, when you use this, you have to pay attention, that they're only the bolded items and that those bolded items are related to the program you're uninstalling.
Right.
And then their registry's gone.
Now, I see that it's for everything from XP on up.
Right.
It has a free download and a pro version. Is the free download really free, or is it
Yeah, it's really free. It does take away the option of doing the automatic deletion of the items that come up in the registry.
Right.
But I kind of like to view them over anyways.
Right.
So that's really not a bad thing. And yes, I've used both free and Pro, and I'm using Pro now.
All right, good to know. Good to know.
So
Thank you.
It's a little bit user friendly. Like I said, you might want to do your own little research on it and see what you think. But so far, it's been good for me.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Keep smiling, will you?
I will.
IOBit. Interesting. Like we said, we haven't looked at it yet.
Right. We gotta do our homework.
It looks like an interesting little program. Huh. Okay.
Hey.
Very nice. All right, we have a few minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
We should. Oh, you hear this? This will interest Dave. On Thursday, Google reported its second quarter 2019 earnings, with Wall Street responding positively during after-hours trading. Sundar Pichai highlighted the Pixel 3a and Pixel 3a XL launch in May, which helped result in a 2 times year-over-year growth for Pixel unit sales. Pichai said with the launch of Pixel 3a in May, overall Pixel unit sales in quarter 2 grew more than 2 times year-over-year. In addition to Verizon and the Google Store, we successfully expanded our distribution to T-Mobile, Sprint, U.S. Cellular, Spectrum Mobile, and additional partners, which has greatly diversified our sales footprint in the U.S. Google does not break out Made by Google sales in its quarterly earnings, with an other revenues category bundling hardware, Play Store, and Google Cloud results. In Q2 2019, that line item reported $6.18 billion compared to $4.4 billion in the same quarter last year. So they doubled what they made, essentially. 2 times year-over-year growth comes following a doubling of the phone line with mid-tier, their phone lineup with mid-tier devices joining the flagships. It's likely not a coincidence. Retail availability of the 3A, of the 3 and 3A also expanded to all major U.S. carriers except AT&T. Pichai's last comments about Pixel came in October 2018, following a question by an analyst about why Google's phone lineup wasn't more successful, citing reasons at the time included not enough product inventory and the need for a better go-to-market strategy and retail availability. This Google CEO ended today's discussion with a tease to say, stay tuned for even more on hardware this fall. Apple CFO Ruth Porat also advised that new product launches were coming in 4Q, which is in line with Made by Google's usual October event. Not Apple, Alphabet, the parent company of Google. So what they're saying is that, and here's a shock. When you get a phone with most of the features of an $800 phone for $400, people will buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
I already told you. I got their next big thing for the Pixel 5.
Yeah. Bigger battery. All they got to go is a few millimeters fatter.
Yep. Which nobody will honestly notice. Go 2 or 3 millimeters thicker and say, now we've got a phone that can last 4 days without a charge.
Yep. People will flock.
Oh, heck yeah. They go flying off the walls.
People will flock.
Because everybody nowadays, let's face it, folks, you look around and you see more folks buried into their phone because they're texting, watching videos, listening to music, and everything else.
While they're driving.
The last thing they want to do is worry about charging because that's a big issue. Oh, I got to find a charging station. Heck, if you've got a phone now that it can last a few days without a charge just because they added a little thicker battery, I guarantee you that would be a
People
big
are now
seller.
Doubling the width of their phones by slapping those power packs. There you go. Slapping those power packs on the back.
Yeah.
If they came that thick to begin with and lasted for 3 days, you would fight people to buy one.
Yeah.
There's no question of that.
Yeah.
And if you can buy a phone that's got 99% of the features of an $800 phone for $400, people are going to flock to that as well.
You know what? This reminds me, talk about our longevity and how long we've been on the air. Remember, we threw up an idea to Intel.
Yes.
Do you remember that idea?
I do remember the idea. The guy was saying, what can we do? People don't even know we're inside these things. I said, You guys own the machine. The first thing that should come up is Intel Inside.
Yeah. And all they had to do was put it on the splash screen. Instead of the logo of the motherboard or anything else, they put Intel Inside. Hello, the logo right next to it.
Yep.
Like you said. And you go, oh, that's a good one. And it never came to tuition.
No, they do it. They do it with some machine. Now they have the Intel Inside stickers on the outside.
Yeah,
and nobody sent us a royalty.
And that's one thing the guy said. Well, we put the sticker on there. I go, yeah, and I can pull the sticker off of this one and put it over on that machine. Oh.
Yeah.
He didn't really have an answer. But, if we'd gone that way with what we suggested.
Yep. But
now they got to listen to us and put a bigger damn battery in the phone.
Well, that's exactly right. It's the thing people want. What makes me crazy are the people who go, well, have you seen the new Pixel 4 screenshots? There's a giant brow on the top. You know what? Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
You say, oh, we want to have dual cameras and we want to have all this other stuff, but we don't want you to put it actually on the camera. Shut up.
Well, there's a little bump on the back.
The little bump on the back.
Yeah,
That's right. Shut up. All right, that music tells me we are done for another week. I want to thank Dave Enright for staying awake through the entire show. I'm astonished. I really want to thank George Engel, who was amazing this week. Thank you, George. You were great.
The old guy, right? The old guy.
The old guy.
The older guy.
That's right. He stayed awake, too. Or at least he didn't snore, which is really the important part on radio. I'm Nick Francesco. Don't go away. George is coming in to play the best German music you'll hear all week. Michael's here to keep him on the straight and narrow. And we will be back in just a week with a whole lot more of the longest-running computer show in the known universe. That's right. It's Soundbites, right here on the Truly Great and Truly Grateful to you that we can continue to be member-supported. Jazz 90.1. We will see you in just 166 hours. Be good to each other, will you?
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the